Back in slave days, ships went to Africa and they pulled these poor people from their homes to put them on ships and bring them overseas to be slaves. In order to keep the slaves in line during the journey from Africa, they had to keep them in shackles. In the 1860s, slaves were not allowed to wear shoes.
There are many ways we sacrificed. You know, not only did Harriet Tubman sacrifice her life to bring people out of slavery, myself together, and I ran out that house. I ran down the road, and I hid like here for days, and I hid with the pigs in the pigsty. I wasn't going to take no more weapons. Finally, my father, he found me. He brought me back. They take me back to the plantation, but I was all right for a little while. But then when I got there, one of my friends, I happened to look because the shed door was open, and I heard him moaning. And I saw that overseer out there. He went puffing because he tried to run away. Well, I sure enough wasn't going to let him with my friend. So I went in there and I helped my friend escape. Well, that old overseer, he was mad. He picked this thing up out the barn, it was away, and he threw it and hit me in my head and knocked me out. I passed out. And after that, I used to have what they call sleeping spells. From getting hit in the head. That's what make them folks think I'm crazy. But I said, that's all right. Doesn't think I'm crazy. I know old Harriet, she gonna wait for me. I ain't gonna be no slave till I die. I'm going. So I waited one day when the time was right. I gathered up a bunch of chickens and I walked down the road because I know if they see old Crazy Hat with these chickens, they just look and say, oh, that's old Crazy Hat. I knew I was on the way to freedom. And I started. And I got there. God knows, it took me a while, but I got there. I had some help. Because there was some good people, some good Quakers. This one Quaker lady, she hit me in the wagon. And she put a blanket over me. And when we got to her house, she gave me this piece of paper. And she told me when I get to the next town, to give them this paper. And they would help me out. Well, that town, I believe it, that was Middletown, Delaware. As I was coming from Cambridge, from Dorchester County. So I got to the Birds Plantation in Middletown, and they helped me. And then from Middletown, I came on, I go across the Choctaw River too. Then I came on up, I came through Smyrna, I came through Delaware City, I came through Newcastle County, and I came on up to Remington. And when I got to Remington, I met another friend up here. His name, Thomas Garrett. Now, Thomas Garrett, he was a blacksmith. He owned this blacksmith shop down on Shipley Street. Right now, that's where the old Del Tech is. Mm-hmm. That was Thomas Garrett's blacksmith shop. Well, Thomas, because he helped out the slaves, he got caught. And they made me pay a big fine. He lost everything. He lost all his money. But Thomas said, he don't care. He didn't think nobody should be no slave. And he was going to help us out. So he helped us. We got out of Delaware, and we got up to Pennsylvania. I've made 19 trips down south, and I bought out 300 slaves. But the one I loved the best was my mom and my pa, old Whitney Benz. I was determined I was going to get them out of slavery, and I did. And when I got to Canada, I got down on my knees and I kissed the ground. I'm Harriet Tubman, people. I'm Harriet Tubman, the slave. I'm Harriet Tubman, free woman. And I'm free beyond my grave.
You know that the Civil War ended legalized slavery in the United States, but did y'all ever wonder why it took another 100 years for us to gain our freedom through the Civil Rights Movement? Well, it was slavery by another name. I'm going to tell you the story about Green Cottonham. Now, Green Cottonham, He was born to his parents who had survived slavery in Shelby County, Alabama. Now, just because I say it was in Alabama, this story happened in Texas, in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Carolina, Virginia, you name it. Now, what happened to Green was he was the youngest son. He was the baby child of two parents that had been born in slavery. They had survived slavery, and in 1908, Green Cottenham was arrested. Now, Green was arrested for vagrancy. Now, vagrancy is really not a crime. Vagrancy just means that he couldn't prove at the time that the sheriff came up on him that he had a job. So Green was arrested. He went to court, and he was found guilty of vagrancy, and he was given 30 days sentence. But now, of course, you know, Green had to pay the court fees, the judge fees, the hearing fees, and all these other fees, which he couldn't pay because he didn't have a job in the first place. Now, because of all the fees, they extended Green's sentence to nearly a year. Now, the Alabama correctional system, the state of Alabama correctional system, had a standing agreement, and the next day, the very next day, Green Cottenham was sold. Green Cottenham was sold to the Pratt Mines, which is a subsidiary of U.S. Steel. Isn't there a U.S. Steel plant up here in Claymont? U.S. Steel, the backbone of the American Industrial Revolution. U.S. Steel. Now, Green Cottenham was sold for $12 a month in order to pay off his fees by the Alabama correctional system to the Pratt Mines. And the Pratt Mines could pretty much do whatever they wanted with him. So this was slavery by another name. Now, what happened to Green? Well, Green was sitting down in those coal mines. The men who went to that coal mine were put in chains, and they were held down in the coal mine and expected to work 16 hours a day. They were expected to mine 6 tons of coal a day. And if you didn't mine it, you was beaten. And then when you were brought up, you only had 8 hours, and then you back down in there. Now, of course, it was hot in there. There was no ventilation. There was coal dust. So the men died. A lot of men died. And Green died of the lung fever within the first 6 months. Now, what happened to Green? Well, we're not sure. But we know that there's hundreds of thousands of unmarked graves over by the refuge pile near the Pratt Mine. And we know that a lot of African-American men, our black men, were buried there in unmarked graves. And we do know that some of the men who died were thrown into the blast furnace that turned the coal into corpse. So you see, blood and our sweat has fertilized the soil of America. And our bones were ground down to pave the roads in America. And our life force built all the steel mills and the skyscrapers that you see in America. So never forget the power and the strength that has built our country, because this is our country that we have put our life, blood, and force of our men and women in. Never, ever forget the sacrifice of our people, and we can walk the streets of America with great pride, because this is our land.
There are many ways we sacrificed. You know, not only did Harriet Tubman sacrifice her life to bring people out of slavery, not only were the crooks used as symbols to get us out of slavery, there were some other really unique things. If you would take a look here when you go by, there's this box. It looks just like a cardboard box. Well, there was a man named Henry. His name was Henry Brown. He ended up being called Henry Boxcar Brown. And you know why? He was smart enough. Remember, Master always thought we were stupid. But he was smart enough to have a friend build him a box that was big enough for him to get himself into and have himself mailed to Philadelphia. It took like 20-some days, and you can't imagine what it was like. But this man was a slave. He's supposed to be stupid, but he was smart. He mailed himself to Philadelphia, and he made it to slavery. This boxcar Brown, and to modern days, we have some other people, the Shirley Chisholms, the Barbara Jordans, the Marcus Garveys, the Martin Luther Kings, the Rosa Parks, the Malcolm X's, and I certainly cannot forget this one person, because if it were not for him, we wouldn't have religious freedom. We wouldn't be in this civil today. Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on marching, keep on marching, marching up the freedom land. And you know what? This is a journey. And you know what? We ain't entertaining folks. You are part of this journey. Amen. So we're going to sing that song again. And I want to hear every voice in this hallway. I want to let nobody turn me around. Let me tell you about this man called Peter Spencer. Can you say Peter Spencer? Peter Spencer. I mean, he was a man before his time. Now, you know, Peter Spencer is the founder of this very church that you are in today. But you see, it wasn't used to be called Mother African Union. You see, that's when we got sophisticated. Let me tell you about old Reverend Peter Spencer. You see, he was like 1 or 2 generations removed from African ancestry. You see, he came here from Maryland after his master, so-called, gave him his freedom, because his master died, you see. But you see, Peter was always free on the inside. Don't let nobody ever tell you that just because we was in slavery, that we wasn't free. We might not have been free on the outside, but on the inside, we was always free. Now, Peter Spencer, he came up here to Delaware, from somewhere in Maryland. And when he came up here, you see, he befriended some people called the Quakers. He kind of liked the Quakers. He liked, you know, how they held their service, and the Quakers took a liking to him. You know, they took him under their wing, and they kind of taught him some things, and I'm not sure whether he already knew how to read or write, but he learned better from them. Well, then after a while, you know, remember when I said that we was from Acadia, land of the spirited people? Because we still spirited people. That's what they call us. Because you know, honey, oh, we get our worship on. We get our praise on. Yes, we do. Now, you see, he went to this church down on 3rd and Walnut. 3rd and Walnut. And it was called Asbury at the time. And you see, kind of like they was worshiping together, then boom, just like that, all of a sudden, they said, oh no, you folk of color gotta go up in the balcony. They wouldn't even let us take communion. Peter Spencer said, I ain't having none of this. And he said, I'm gonna start myself a new church. And so he took a group of people. He walked on down the street and established
That's what they call Ezion Church. Yeah, they called it the Rock. Still there now, but it's called Ezion Mount Carmel. So you see, they stayed there for about 7, 8 years or so. And then suddenly, when they thought they was free, they wasn't letting them make any kind of decisions. Oh, well, you can be in that building, but we still gonna tell you what to do. After a while, Peter said, I did not march down the street and start another church for this. And so, he left Ezion. He walked across the street to, they say, a little chicken coop. And he established the church, the Union Church of African Lepers. But this time, he said, ain't nobody going to come and tell me what to do. And so in 1813, you see, that was before the Civil War. They were still bringing Africans, put them on the auction block. It was a time when black people couldn't read or write. It was against the law. Peter Spencer said, this is going to be my church, for my people. And we're going to worship God the way the spirited people worship. So he took his case to court. He represented himself. Guess what, y'all? He won. In 1813. Before Frederick Douglass was born. Before Harriet Tubman was born. You see, he was a man before his time. That was a dangerous thing for a black man to do. But he did it. And today we are here, still celebrating. That's history. That's American history. Delaware history. That's true history. And it happened right here in Little Wilmington, Delaware, by a man named Peter Spencer.
Hey, Sister Pat, Mama Pat, not only now did Peter Spencer start gave us our own religious freedom, Peter Spencer is also responsible for what we call today the Big Quarterly. It's the August Quarterly, and it was started back in 1812. Yes, sir, right up on the some of our folks will come up and say, no, master, you had to have a permission to travel. Well, again, our people were so stupid, so they got their permission so that they could come to the Big Quarterly. Because they knew when they got here, they could keep going on. Oh, Master thought he had a trick because he would let the men go, keep the wives and the children, make sure the men come back. But he don't know. Our folks, we know how to talk to one another, and we know how to plan with one another, and we know how to sacrifice for one another. So you see, the Big Quarterly served another purpose. It was really the one day of freedom for all the slaves. They could come up to Delaware, they could come up to Wilmington. That one day of freedom. Now, sadly though, in this day and time, a lot of our folks are embarrassed by that. They should not be. They best pick up a book and they best learn about their history. And they best learn what the Big Quarterly was all about. It wasn't just some place to go eat some fried chicken, eat some watermelon. You met some relatives. Old ones, new ones, made new acquaintances. But the biggest thing of all was that you had that religious freedom. You could worship any way you wanted to worship that day. And then you had the opportunity to connect with the Underground Railroad. Let's not destroy all that Peter Spencer and all these other folk sacrificed to us today. Young people, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to all you young people. Don't throw it away. There were too many people who sacrificed their lives who gave their blood so that you could be where you are today, so that you could have an education, so that you could go to any school you want to go to, so that you could sit in any restaurant and eat wherever you want, so that you could go to any fountain and drink wherever you wanted to drink from, so that you could ride a train up in the front. You didn't have to sit in the back. You need to find out, if you don't know, who you are, where you come from, so you know where you're going. Got it?
Got it.
Great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter, springtime and the harvest, sun, moon, and stars and their courses above, join with all nature and manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness to me. Keep on walking, keep on walking.